Hello, greetings to all. As promised, this is one of the continuations of the video that I recorded last week. The title of this video is The Re-Emergence of Our Indigenous slash Mexica Aztec Sun. Now, just to recap briefly, the video was centered around the symbolism of the sun and the eagle. I pretty much centered the conversation around Cuauhtémoc's last words before his execution. Not exactly before the execution, but before the happening. His words were that there would be a period of darkness since our sun is now hidden from view. But there is a promise in which he states that our sun will once again reemerge and we will return to the ways of old. I did mention that this was not to be some sort of superstition or something that is going to happen supernaturally, but that we as the descendants are to contribute to bringing forth. Now, I did also mention that I would go into detail regarding the symbolism of the various birds that we use in ancient Mesoamerican slash indigenous folklore and teachings, whatnot. I did also mention the vulture, which writer Tonatiuh Garza utilizes the symbolism of the vulture to represent this period of darkness of which Cuauhtémoc is referring to. In his words, the sun's hidden from view, the eagle has descended, as attested by the name Cuauhtémoc, descending eagle. And instead, now that the sun's been hidden from view, now that the eagle has descended, the vulture has taken over and has given us this period of darkness, of modernity, of materialism, of greed, of whatnot. But anywho, I did want to speak a little about the hummingbird. The hummingbird is a very interesting bird because of its flight. Not only does it fly forward just like any other bird, but it also flies backward. It'll fly upward and downward and will even somersault backward. It is known to hover for long periods of time. So because of this, it has been utilized to symbolize our willpower. You know, when we will something that we're wanting to accomplish, we possess the ability to fly backward, forward, hover for as long as we can. One of my favorite Aztec deities, again, we will go into what the meaning is behind these personalities, is Huitzilopochtli. His name consists of the words Huitzil, which is Nahuatl for a hummingbird, Huitzilin, and Opochtli, to the left, or the opposite. Now, despite what is taught about him regarding him being the god of war, the bloodthirsty god seeking for the Aztec to sacrifice thousands of hearts of virgins and whatnot, he actually represents the willpower, and the war that he actually signifies is a war that takes place inside of us. Every day that we wake up, one of the first enemies that we have to deal with is ourselves. When people anger us, they're not the enemy. Oftentimes we are the enemy because we are fictionalizing this drama that is happening really outside of it all. So once we realize that we are our own enemy, then at that point we can work on defeating said enemy to move on to tackle on the rest of the world at large. Now, the eagle, volumes upon volumes can be said about the eagle, since it is a very important symbol in northern, particularly Native American culture, going down into Mesoamerica, because once you start going further southward, you're going to see the other birds, as I mentioned, the trinity of birds, which is the eagle, signifying North America. Then there's a Quetzal in Central America, Guatemala. It's interesting, their currency is known as Quetzal. I don't know what unit it is, but one of the currency units is known as a Quetzal. And then further downward into South America, there's a Condor. Of course, there's also the prophecy of the eagle and the condor coming together. That's a totally different topic. For now, the eagle, we did go into detail about the acuteness of its vision, being compared to the all-seeing eye. Its reign in the skies being compared to a sky god, and being the symbol of the sun and whatnot. All of this will be developed further. I especially want to do it in a written format. That way people can comment, and it can be a little more divulging. But for now, we are going to be led to the topic of Quetzalcoatl. Now, he's not an Anunnaki. He's not a Jesus or St. Thomas who ventured into the New World. He's not the devil. He's not a demon. In reality, this was a title bestowed upon sages, such as a Buddha, such as all these other titles that are bestowed upon human beings. Now, it's interesting to note that it's been said, and I'm going to place a lot of the links. I compile notebooks upon notebooks, and I hardly ever write the source, but these are not my words. I'm not committing any copyright infringement. I will be providing the sites, in the comments later on. But this is pretty much universal. Not one author said it, but it's a teaching from the indigenous ancients. No se puede ser nada en la vida totalmente, espiritual, carnal, material, o racional, intuitivo. You cannot be one thing entirely. You cannot be too intellectual, too spiritual, too carnal, too intuitive, because you're always going to need that opposite effect. And that's exactly where Quetzalcoatl comes in. There's the higher aspiration, higher nature of man, being balanced out by the lower nature of man to make this one being, which is a complex being. The feathers of the Quetzal, of a bird, which summons images of flight, of aspirations, of new heights. And then there's a Coatl, the serpent, dragging its chest, all throughout the earth, and being so close to the earth so as to signify carnality. Now, carnality tends to be the one that seems to drag us most of the time, since it's the one closest to us as human beings. Given the fact that we're breaking away from Christianity and Western religion, it's very hard to explore the subject of spirituality. As a matter of fact, a lot of people just choose to do away with it altogether, deeming it all as mumbo jumbo. Now, other civilizations, and I'm also going to do a more detailed video as to how other civilizations represent the concept of Quetzalcoatl. There is also a very ancient god pictograph of a deity, whatnot, of a serpent with wings, which is said to be one of the first symbolisms in the old world of the concept of an archangel defeating the serpent, which in reality, I grew up Catholic, and I remember images of Saint Michael the Archangel. He's he's an angel. He's got a sword, and he's defeating the devil. And rather than just see it so simplistically as an angel defeating evil, we can apply it to our own life and the constant battle of the higher with the lower. We got to keep it in check. And that's exactly what the point of Quetzalcoatl is. These sages, this concept of an enlightened person only comes forth whenever we are willing to harmonize and balance our dual nature. Now, in the next video, like I said, I will go into details with regards to other cultures and their approach at exemplifying this concept of the dual nature and the tug of war between the two. Once we get past the dogma and religious indoctrination, we can really see we can really derive the teaching. This is not to return us back to Christian belief systems, which has been very detrimental to indigenous people and Aboriginal cultures worldwide. But in reality, we can take a tome such as the Bible, and we can see how once we get through the religious context of it, we can really get a lot of teachings and wisdom out of it. We're not really discussing that, but we're going into approaching the knowledge and wisdom of the ancients more pragmatically, rather than just on a superstitious or mythological approach. So please leave a comment. Please watch the previous video. That way we can keep ourselves up to speed. I'm trying not to make them too lengthy. That way it can be short and sweet. Let me know what you think, and I will be adding to this conversation tomorrow. Y'all have a good one.